victory. Celtic through Wanyama and through Watt have scored an historic victory. Celtic 2, Barcelona 1.
Fantastic night in Parquet, fitting I think at the 125th anniversary of the founding of the club, so wonderful, wonderful night. And John, who would have expected it?
Well, I certainly wouldn't, Bill. As you know, I tipped it 3-0 to Barcelona. I thought they'd beat Celtic well. I thought it would actually suit them playing away from home. But they were tremendous. I mean, their discipline was good, their spirit, obviously their spirit, but their discipline, professional discipline was good. They lost a little bit towards the last couple of minutes, which you would expect. But they held on well, they got the second goal, and they were a credit to Celtic Football Club.
And indeed to Scottish football, I suppose you'd have to argue
especially Celtic Football Club.
Celtic on a special day. Now, you made the point very early on watching the game, you didn't think that Barcelona were on their game at all.
No, I didn't think they were, but I didn't think they were allowed to, Bill. And the person that really should get great credit is Neil Lennon, the coach, Celtic. They've played over 180 minutes now, away and at home against the best side in the world. And they've really been outstanding. The discipline, the work rate, and it's very, very hard. It's a big step up from the Scottish Premier League, when they wouldn't have to really do that ever against opponents. And to believe, you see, the thing about that performance tonight and the one in the new camp is that I think Celtic players went out on the pitch believing that they could get a result. There was no sign of,
They weren't intimidated, so they weren't.
No, well, I don't want to reignite a controversy here, but we have in our international team, we've seen our coach say, how can we compete with big teams, with Germany in this, and that's how you can compete. First of all, you believe that you can do it, and then you try and work out a way of doing it.
And then you get your tactics right.
And then you work out the way, that's the tactics. And Neil Lennon deserves huge amount of credit for that, I think, as well as his players. It was immense.
Okay, well, I want to ask you guys a question now, and you can toss it up among yourselves. We described Barcelona as the best team in the world. Now, on that performance, that's not just...
I think they've got a bit of a problem, Bill, in as much as that we've seen over the last couple of seasons teams set out the way Lennon did and, defend the box. Basically what Celtic did tonight is defend the box and hope for a breakaway, which they got one for the second goal, and hope for maybe a set piece to score from the set piece, which they did. Chelsea did the same in the Champions League last year, home and away, practically. So I think Barcelona have got a problem, but
they've no plan B, you mean, is it?
Well, they've got to work out how they're going to beat these teams. Eamon made the point that they're putting a lot of crosses in from the wide areas, and there's nobody on the end of it. Ray was saying the same thing. They've got no recognised centre forward. Ibrahimovic played for them going back 3 or 4 seasons. Now he is a pure out and out centre forward. So you wonder if the people at Barcelona are going to say, well, hang on a minute, teams have sussed us out, we've got to alter our style a little bit.
That's right. That's a very important point, isn't it?
Yeah, but they still are brilliant, Bill. You're not dismissing them, are you?
Oh, I'm not dismissing them. I think it's more to say they have to enter a caveat. So.
Yeah, well, they have something to think about.
It's worth pointing out that PK, Puyol and Busquets, who were not playing. But Puyol is a huge player for them, he's a club captain. Busquets also and PK were missing. But that doesn't really take away from what Celtic have achieved. They've made a massive step up in class.
Well, Bill's question, Eamon, was it was about Barcelona. Are they finished being the best team in the world?
Barcelona have been tagged as the best team in the world.
They've been tagged by a lot of people to be the best team.
Eamon
included, Liam included, and me. When PK and the other guy, the PK and Puyol are playing particularly, you're not the best team in the world, Bill, if you don't defend against corner kicks, and you're not the best team in the world if you do that.
Well, if they're not, I'd like to know who is.
Well, if Puyol is playing, let me finish now. Puyol and PK, when they do play, do defend those much better. So I think you need them in the team to prove that to say that they're the best team in the world. I think Barcelona playing well are the best team in the world by a long way, Bill. And I think the way they play, it's a high-risk game in many ways. They're not lumping it here, they're not lumping it there. They believe in what they're doing, and they did it even tonight, right up to the last kick of the game. Now, there's games, like most teams, like other teams, best teams do, which they lose. And then it's very, very easy to question the way in which they play. They say, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But you have to take them overall, over a long period of time. Now, Celtic have done tremendously well. They've beaten them tonight.
Yeah, but John, the point that Liam made, which is a valid point, I think, have they been sussed out?
Yeah, no, you don't suss out.
Yeah.
Bill, they've been winning trophies. Hang on a minute now. The way they played tonight was the way they played 5 years ago. And over the last 5 years, they've won 18 trophies. They haven't played any different. Now, other teams like the Celtic tonight and Chelsea did extremely well, particularly Celtic tonight, and to defend the way they did. Chelsea defended well, but they carried a lot of luck with them. But like Barcelona now are 8 points ahead in the champions in their own domestic league. And they would still be favourites. With the players coming back from I think they'll still be favourites to go on and win the Champions League
this year.
I think
this year,
John,
of what we've seen tonight.
John, I think the question is, have they been rumbled, and is there a template, if you like, of a way to play them, which maybe Mourinho with Inter did?
Which some have described him as anti-football, and
it's
even
not
Celtic have been described as anti-football.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying that. I think it has been so described.
Well, can I just
Barcelona are a great
one
team.
second then? Well, that was since Inter Milan won
3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, what have Barcelona won since then?
Well, they've won
Champions League.
Twice.
Champions League.
A couple of La Ligas, a couple of Champions League.
Yeah, a couple of Champions League.
So, if they were sussed out with Mourinho 2 years ago, how did they go on and won those particular competitions?
I think that,
No, well, the
I think
point
the question,
is,
hold on.
no,
I think,
can I say something?
Yeah.
If the point is, if a team lines up like they did tonight, Celtic did,
Yeah.
and keep their discipline, and play narrow and push them out wide, and when they've got no recognised centre forward who can head the ball into the net on crosses, they might just lose
yeah.
in the knockout stages, mightn't they? And I think everyone would be watching that tonight and saying, well, that's the way to play them, and that we're going to take our chance playing that way.
They will.
And their questions must
I
be
agree.
asked by the coach.
I
Well,
think-
is there anything we can do to stop that from happening again, John?
There's no doubt that is the best way to play Barcelona. But what you must remember tonight, and again we'll go back to PK and Pure, they won on a corner kick tonight. They're not only scored a second goal, but they would have got a draw. They won on a corner kick that they couldn't defend because Pure. Now, if you get Pure in okay, I'm not saying it's all ifs and buts, but say they probably wouldn't have scored from that. I don't think they would have scored from that corner kick.
It'd be less likely anyway.
Yeah, so you're now into these are the qualifying stages of this particular competition. I think when you talk about the likes of Messi and Iniesta and Xavi, about working them out, these fellas are great players, Bill, and they're geniuses, and most of the times they will work a way around it. Now, Celtic were brilliant tonight, and so were Chelsea when they played. Inter Milan did it 3 years ago. Right, and all the teams will try and do it, but let's look at Barcelona, because it's very easy to say the way they play, look, they found out, they won't be able to do it anymore. I remember them saying the same about Liverpool years ago. Liverpool found them out the way they do it. Let's wait and see by the end of the season.
I think there's one thing we should talk about Celtic, because there have been, this is a great night
absolutely.
for that football club,
night,
and the step up they've taken, and the performances of some of those players, the goalkeeper, Foster, over the two legs was magnificent. The two central defenders, Ambrose and a big fella, Wilson. The left back, Matthews, isn't a left back at all. He had to fill in there tonight. Samaras worked very hard, Commons worked very hard. I mean, these are mostly, for the most part, in world